spend thousands on equipment before launching, we're seeing a complete flip of that script. Today's story shows how raw authenticity might actually be the secret sauce of modern streaming.
That's such an interesting perspective, especially when we look at how this UK-based creator is approaching community building in such an unconventional way.
You know what really stands out here? The way they're using technical limitations as a storytelling device? That Manchester United comparison for their mic quality? That's marketing gold right there.
It reminds me of how some of the biggest Twitch success stories started. Tyler Ninja Blevins began streaming with basic equipment and averaged just 30 viewers in his first year.
Well, that's exactly the kind of trajectory we might be looking at here. Recent statistics show that successful streamers who actively engage their community in content decisions see up to 40% higher retention rates.
The PlayStation-only limitation is particularly interesting, like how Nintendo-exclusive streamers have carved out their own dedicated niches.
Speaking of platform specifics, let's look at the numbers. PlayStation has over 111 million monthly active users. That's a huge potential audience if you can tap into it correctly.
Oh, and you know what's fascinating about that market? Studies show that PlayStation users spend an average of 20% more time watching gaming content than other console users.
That's actually a perfect segue into what makes this approach so unique. Instead of trying to compete in oversaturated markets, they're essentially creating a focus group for their content.
The way they're handling the technical limitations reminds me of early YouTube creators who turned low production value into part of their brand identity.
Like how PewDiePie started with just a cheap microphone and basic editing software? Now that's a parallel worth exploring. His early content was all about authenticity over production value.
So what do you think about their strategy of using AI as a workaround for equipment limitations?
Well, it's actually quite brilliant when you consider the data. According to recent streaming analytics, channels that maintain consistent communication with their audience, regardless of the medium, see up to 60% better growth rates in their first 3 months.
The gaming rut they mentioned is something that affects about 70% of content creators in their first year. It's like they're turning a common problem into an opportunity.
You know what's really fascinating about that? Industry studies show that channels that actively involve their audience in game selection see an average 45% increase in viewer retention.
Like how some of the most successful streamers have literally built their libraries based on community suggestions.
And when you look at the current state of streaming, the numbers are pretty telling. Over 9.2 million active streamers on Twitch alone, but only about 1% managed to build a sustainable audience.
The way they're approaching growth reminds me of how some indie game developers use community feedback during early access phases.
Exactly, and speaking of community development, recent platform statistics show that streamers who maintain active dialogue with their viewers during the first month are 3 times more likely to retain a core audience.
That's particularly relevant when you consider how the streaming landscape has evolved since 2020.
You know, looking at the broader industry trends, this kind of transparent community-first approach might be exactly what sets successful creators apart in 2024 and beyond.
Well, that's assuming they can maintain that authenticity as they grow, something only about 25% of creators successfully manage.
Let's wrap this up with something. Interesting studies show that creators who start with clear limitations but strong community engagement actually have a 50% higher chance of reaching partnership status within their first year.
Now, that's the kind of statistic that really puts this whole story into perspective.